I'd like to pass across to our next speaker, Dearne Rout. Thank you, Dearne.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Hi, everybody. I'm Dearne. I'm currently a Melton Toastmasters member as well as another corporate club as well. But today I'm going through with you one of my biggest passions, base camp and pathways. It used to be the boogeyman, but now, thankfully, it's amazing. So, just by a show of yeses, how many people are currently actively using Basecamp for themselves? Awesome. So we do have a few that are actively using it for themselves, which is wonderful. And that's what we like to hear because Basecamp is such a great tool for everybody to be able to use. So I'm just sharing a lovely little pack that we've been working on with that. And remembering how to use Google Docs to go to the next slide. Next slide is. Okay. So today we're going to cover pathways, introduction to Basecamp Manager, and some wonderful Basecamp extras. Because as many of you may know, Basecamp had a huge uplift in October last year, and it's constantly getting re-uplifted. But that new uplift has made everything so much easier for us to be able to manage, not only from a participant point of view, but from a manager point of view. So my first question for you, and these are going to come back, we're going to play a little game of Hark Master at the end. How can members access pathways, which is the education program? So pop the answer in the chat if you know, how do people access pathways? And if you don't know, that's okay. Beautiful. Leon's got the through the TI site, through Basecamp. Beautiful. It's magic. Yes. It has a magic wand. I'm very much one for the magic wand. Beautiful. So we all know it comes through the Toastmasters International site. So as it's been pointed out in the chat as well, it has been uplifted also to be friendly across all devices now, including mobiles, including tablets. So when we access pathways, we do it through the Toastmasters International portal. So for VPMs, for example, when you go in, you put a new member in through membership management. Takes around about 20 minutes because American servers are very slow. After approximately that time, the members can then go into the Toastmasters International site for themselves, and they'll have a beautiful button at the very top that says choose your first path. Because the one thing that we do need to remember, yeah, it can be super slow. The most I've ever had it take is overnight because American servers are backwards. So sometimes it takes overnight for the new member to come in. But that's the important part, is that when we think about our membership fees that we pay for our Toastmasters clubs, we pay our club fee, which covers room hire, any catering, any awards, and we pay our Toastmasters International fee, which is what Joe was mentioning before about getting our fees in on time. Those fees cover pathways and the use of Basecamp. So in essence, it becomes one of those very important things because you're paying for it. And how many times we've cancelled a service because we're not using it. The other important part is that for some of our members, like our vision impaired members, for example, it's actually accessible through assistive technology. I have actually tested it with one of my vision impaired members, and it is actually quite fun to listen to it through the screen reader. And it does pick up the content quite well and provide that really good description for them. The other thing we can sell with Pathways is the fact that it's self-paced. I say to a lot of my new members when they come into my clubs that it generally takes about 2 years to complete one full path. Generally. Can take more, can take less. But by the time you get through those levels, it takes time. So it's not something people have to rush. They can take their time, they can use the learning. So if we look at our learning journey, as I mentioned, we've got the online portal. We've got the meeting attendance. They take up 2 parts of your learning journey. Evaluation and feedback. Feedback is an important aspect of learning. And then completing different roles. So when you think of pathways, it takes up that quarter of your pie as to how you learn and we develop through Toastmasters. Paths in progress, correct, Laura, can be a little bit slow. I'm with you on that one. It's unfortunately just patience with that particular aspect in the Basecamp Manager part. It's only because it's got to pick up all of the data in the background. Question then, and everyone pop in the chat if you remember, how many paths can a new member choose from as of today? Perfect. We've got lots of 6s in there, which is very good. So that's reduced down from, for those who've been around for a while, you know that we used to have 11 paths to choose from. Now they've brought it down to 6, and those 6 were chosen based on what the majority, I think it's about 98% of members across Toastmasters International used. So we've got our 6 key paths there. And they aim to strengthen your personal and professional success with 300 unique skill sets. So we're looking at things like visionary communication, where you're looking at sharing information, dynamic leadership, understanding leadership styles and how to do conflict resolution, which is something whenever people are in a corporate environment or just in their day-to-day role, conflict resolution is a thing that a lot of us try and avoid. But having done the persuasive influence part, which also goes through a bit of that conflict resolution, it's actually a huge skill that you kind of forget that you need. Presentation mastery is one of the most common paths. So it looks at how to engage your audience and how to connect with your audience. Motivational strategy is very much around how you get people to connect to your message and remember your message. If we think of Verity Price at the D73 conference, that motivation that she gave us, we took that away and we've run with it. Engaging humor for those of us who want to be able to learn how to speak humorously without getting the dad joke groans. I'm very much one that gets the dad joke groans, but I love it. So how many levels and projects are there in each path? So pop your answer in the chat. How many levels and projects are there in each path? So we've got 5 levels. Does anybody know the number of projects on each path? There we go. So Hills Toastmasters have looked at, and Spirit of Devonport, yes, there are 14 projects in each path. So the way very much to think about those is the different levels of learning. So you start with your level 1. Level 1 is the same across all paths, no matter what. Icebreaker, speech with purpose, body language and vocal variety, then your evaluation and feedback. Your level 2 goes down to communication or leadership styles. Level 3, 4, and 5 is where you start to actually get, that's correct, Laura, because you do have the 6 components, 2 speeches for the evaluation and feedback, plus your first evaluation. Good pickup, Laura. I love it. You are, Guiding Stars must be amazing with their pathways. I like it. Minimum projects to complete are different to the number of projects available. That's correct. You can do extra electives if you want when you get up to those level 3, 4, and 5, which have the electives on there. So the electives can relate to things like managing a difficult audience, which is a big one, running an online meeting for those of us who still have a work environment that's hybrid, and being able to keep the audience engaged. So those electives, you can definitely do more than the minimum required. At the end of level 5, you do have one additional speech, which is about a 10 to 12-minute speech, which is reflecting on your path. So you're looking at what learnings you've done through that whole path, remembering it can take about 2 years. So we're going to do a little bit of a chat cascade, similar to how Joe did it with us before, is get ready with your answer. And when I press go, then we'll be able to all push enter at the same time. So what path or paths are you currently working on? Let's see who's got what in the chat and go. So we've got motivational strategies, visionary communication. So we've got a fair few of motivational strategies. And we've got a few that are doing more than one path at the same time, which is amazing because you can do more than one path at the same time. There is nothing stopping you from doing more than one path at the same time. For new members, your first path is included in the membership fee. And then any additional paths after that are $20 US, which you pay directly to TI. So we seem to have a really good mix. This is very exciting. I like that. And then next question, let's throw it in. What level are you currently completing? So pop the level number in the chat and push enter. A few ones, a couple of fives. Okay, so it looks like the majority of us are at that level 1, right at the beginning, which is great. And level 1 is a really good one to start with because then you do have that relationship with everybody else. You're going through the same thing as everyone else. So getting to base camp, we come back to that initial question of how people get to base camp. When we look at the online portal, as we can see, we've got the My Home button, which is going to be, as district or club officers, is going to become your best friend because that's also where you find Club Central. When you click on the My Home, if you've already selected a path, you'll have Go to Base Camp. If you haven't selected a path before and it is your very first time, the button will say choose your first path. So that's very much the easier one to be able to do it. Ooh. Project from a higher level. Yes, exactly. You don't have to do the projects in chronological order. You can do them in any order that you please. However, there may be a challenge when it comes to signing off the level, which I will come to in a moment. And thankfully, when you push to base, click the Go to Base Camp button, it takes you straight into your base camp. So up the top, we'll show your active paths. And if you're doing more than one, they'll all line up the top here across the top. You will also be able to see any completed paths as well. If you want to go back and have a look at previous content, it's just a button underneath, which is really good. And the other good part about your paths is that when you go back in for a next time, it'll take you back to where you left off. So when you click the active button, it'll take you back to where you finished last time. So on the next question, does anyone know where in Basecamp Manager do they approve level completions? Let's pop this in the chat. We seem to have a couple of experts in here. So we'll see if they understand the question. And if not, pending approval section. Not quite. It's not in Club Central anymore. So we're looking at the where. We don't go into Club Central anymore to do level approvals, which is even better. So it's the same place you go into Basecamp, is that up the top, you'll get a new button that says Basecamp Manager. And it's still in that same spot. So you don't need to do 2 approvals anymore. It's just the one in Basecamp Manager. And when you click on Basecamp Manager, there's a lovely little button, and that's where it goes to straight away when you click on Basecamp Manager that says approvals. Important when you complete your approvals that generally it should be the VPE's responsibility. So VPEs should be the ones that are approving the level completion, because in essence, they're the ones that are going to be guiding the education journey of each member. However, if the VPE can't, for whatever reason, other execs are able to step in. And very good thing to note as well, especially as incoming committee, you cannot approve your own level completion. Even a VPE can't approve their own level of completion. It actually stops you from doing it. So generally, you'll ask the president or the secretary to do it on your behalf. When you click on the Basecamp Manager and that approvals button that we showed before, you'll see it'll have review. That means a member has submitted their level completion request. That's how easy it is to know that someone has submitted their level completion request. When it says approved or denied, it actually has written there, action no longer required because someone else has done it. So you only have to worry about the ones that are under review, and they will always be at the top of the list. So you don't have to go finding them. When you approve them, it will show you the levels that have been completed. Now, the green ticks are actually really important. Coming back to the question around completing speeches out of order, it is important that when people are submitting their level completion requests, they need to have all green ticks on each project they've completed before they can submit their level completion. Otherwise, it won't go through. So if somebody comes back and says, I can't click the level completion button, tell them to go back into that project and check on the left-hand side if they've got all green ticks. If they say, oh, I've been on that page, but it didn't have a green tick, it could be that there's a text box there that you have to answer a question, or it just means you might have to sit on that particular page for an extra few seconds so that it catches up. Going back to the server part of it's all over in the US. So green ticks are now one of your most important babies. When you do and to Stephen's question from the Hills, that is correct. All execs have the access. However, that's where it's important to recognize that the VP is the one who's responsible for it. And you are correct, Mark. There's no check that an evaluation has been given, which is why we should leave it to the VPE to do that approval, because generally they're the ones who will know who's done an evaluation and who hasn't, and can make that assessment from there. So it is a bit of an honor system as well, which as Toastmasters, we very much deal with. When you want to approve the level completion, then you add your comments in, press the approve button, confirm it, and that's done. Integrity, correct, Kevin. So this you may not have encountered before. What are the 3 reasons that you might deny someone a level completion? Oh, I like a pathway in pizza night. I'm going to have to do that one. So for those who know, what are our 3 denial reasons for a level completion? And if we don't know, that's okay, because I'm going to go on to it in the next slide. Thankfully, I have it here in the next slide. So there's only 3 reasons that you would deny a level completion. Members haven't completed enough speeches, which is where if you complete a speech outside of your club, you need to tell your VPE so that they are aware. The assignment's not complete, which comes back to what Laura was mentioning and a couple of the other experienced members have been mentioning around the evaluation and feedback project, because you need 2 speeches plus your evaluation. So that's where an incomplete assignment may come in. Someone may have completed one particular speech for their evaluation, but not done the follow-up. And additional details being required. So that comes back to not telling the VP what speeches you've done, people having not done the project, and you do put comments there. So make sure if you're going to deny a level completion, particularly for VPs, having that dialogue, because it could just be a misunderstanding from the member. Viewing members' progress, and this is the part that does sometimes go slow if you've got a lot of members in your club. So you have a member overview. That's going to tell you what the highest level is that someone's completed, when their last speech was, and what paths they've completed. So a very quick snapshot. And that'll be for all members in your club. If you have more than one club, there will be a drop-down box. and you can select which club you're looking at. Similarly, the paths currently in progress, that'll show every member of that club what projects they've completed in that path. And the green tick means that they've had that level signed off. As we said, it is a little bit slower, but that's because it's picking up all member data. So you just got to be a little bit patient with it. All right, and now we get to the fun parts. So when was the last time you presented a level completion certificate to a member? And then we'll come back to Amit's question. Last Tuesday. Awesome. So we have a couple of people do it. Last time they completed a level. And that's something that people keep forgetting to do. So you can print certificates in the new Basecamp if you haven't actually been able to find it. So when you're looking at the top box, which has got your name, you'll do a drop down, go to My Clubs, view the profile of your member, and be able to see their achievements. Ooh, someone does ribbons. So we've got a few people who do those printing certificates. And the benefits of providing people the certificates is it gives them that little boost to say, yes, I love this. I did something. I've got an achievement there. So when you view their profile and view their achievements, you can print their certificate. The member themselves can actually print their own certificate as well. That's correct, Danny. I was actually going towards that one. So you can see here when you look at their achievements, it has a box here about which certificates can be printed out. And I'm with you, Trish. I'm very much around the sustainability, printing, celebrate it, definitely. Is a letter to their employer. They can actually generate that themselves as well, and you can generate it in the same spot. So similar spots. Oh, I wonder if I can go backwards with this one. Nope, I can't go backwards. How dare it? So similar spot when you go to achievements, you can actually do the generate to employer. Why can't I go backwards? Because I've got my annotate function in the way. How dare I? So some other options that you can do is feedback to members. So if you've been onto Basecamp lately, you'll be able to have seen a feedback button. That feedback button is where if you ever want to give anyone a compliment, or your employer might have similar, where you can send someone electronic feedback on saying, well done on completing this speech. You can do a give feedback and request feedback. I will come back to you go to. That's actually one of my next slides. So you can give people feedbacks through their pathways as well, or you can send a request to people to be able to provide that feedback, which is awesome. Oh, I think I just found the way I can go backwards. Basecamp extras. No, that was my question. The other part you can do electronically, which a lot of people haven't realized until now, you can actually fill out the evaluation online. So if you don't have a printed copy of someone's evaluation, you can do it on your mobile, remembering that Basecamp is now mobile friendly. So when you go onto your Basecamp, you click on feedback, under evaluation feedback, it comes up with all the evaluation forms, and there's the little button on the left that's the type button. So you can actually write your evaluation directly into someone else's pathways. And it'll send that to them as soon as you push the submit button. So that way then they have it on the spot electronically. Don't have to think about it. Or if you're like me and you forget for about a month that, oh, I was meant to write out that evaluation. That is something most people didn't realize. And that's correct, Jeffrey, that you can actually request your evaluation. So when they're going through that path, you get right to the end and you can put in my speech is on this date at this time. My evaluator is this person, and it will send them the form. So they've got it already. So you can do it either way. Learning badges as well. This is one of those ones that you can share digitally with people. is the learning badges. Now, this is the new feature. It is a little bit needing the member to drive, but it's a good one for people to drive if they want to be able to look at that. So the learning badges are when you are looking at, when you look back at coming to the 6 paths, so the beautiful little icons, those learning badges can be shared to Facebook, LinkedIn, particularly. The member can push that to share it, particularly with LinkedIn being a business circumstance. It can be a good one to go, I've completed level 2. So it will actually have the badge there, have what level they've just completed, and they can pin that to their social media. If your members do actually do it, then they can also generate that, and you can go, hey, can I share your post? So those learning badges is where you can go back and have a look. And when those are shared, that's what you can do. There are a lot more resources in Basecamp than there ever was before, which includes all of the project resources, descriptions of the different projects. So if you have something that you're wanting to look at, do I want to go down that project? You've got it here. There's also the user guides, and that provides very detailed information. So the Basecamp user guide and the Basecamp manager guide, all under resources as soon as you log into Basecamp. So let's come back to our final test our knowledge, because I think I am dead on. Oh, I have 2 minutes left as well. I like this. So let's quickly test our knowledge and see if we were listening, which it looks like a lot of us were. How can members access pathways? Do we want to have a look and remember that one? The TI website. Awesome. Yay. I like it. Can be accessed through the Toastmasters International website from any device. How many paths can a member choose from? Awesome. I'm glad we knew that one straight away. And we could have bonus points if you can name the 6 paths. Anyone want to have a crack and try and name the 6 paths in the chat? I think the people who would be are probably typing, which is good. Levels and projects, which we got right before. But how many people can remember? There you go. 14 projects. That's your minimum. As was mentioned in the chat, you can do more projects than is available. That is completely up to the member's choice. So there's 5 projects with 14 levels and the 6 paths there. Where does Basecamp Manager approve the level completions? So pop that one in the chat. Do we remember where we go for Basecamp Manager? Basecamp! Woohoo! Basecamp! This is the exciting part. Yes, people have remembered what I've said. Oh my God, this is so exciting. So we don't have to do it on Club Central anymore. Nothing required on Club Central. It's all on Basecamp. The denials we went through. So the missing speech, incomplete assignment, and if there's additional info needed. And the celebration options. So what are all the celebration options that I went through that you could do to celebrate the completion of someone's path? Certificates, ribbons. There was a couple of other celebrations online that we went through right near the end there. Badges. That's the one I was looking for. Champagne. Oh, I need to go to Wandenton Club, I reckon, if they have champagne. So you can print their certificate. You can do badges for them as well. So they can electronically share their badges, which you can then also get permission to share it to in a social media post. Very good, Jeffrey. And you can also do the give feedback as well. So remembering if you see someone's completed something, you can go into Basecamp and do the give feedback. So before I jump into the very last questions in my minute, what's your top takeaway or tip that you're going to take to your club other than pizza and pathways and champagne? Actually, Basecamp related tip. Oh, present as well as me. Oh, I'm excited. The badges. Yep, determining the progress. Have fun doing the project. Yes, Emmy, that is my Basecamp's a guide. You have your project there, but what you actually do with that, the VP and the member discuss. So have fun with it. No need to go to Club Central. Your evaluations can be done on your mobile. That's correct. Now I'm just going to scroll through before I hand back to Rick and just see if I missed any questions. Otherwise, I think I had some lovely experts in the chat working on my behalf and answering the questions for me. I like Laura's idea with guiding stars as well, is presenter using the data to show it, have a break for pizza, and then the second half having a play around. I like that idea. I can see one of my VPs is in here. So Ranesh, we might have to take that on board and look at it. Were there any last questions that I haven't answered? VP submitting on behalf of members who struggle with technology. Trish, they actually can. It is possible. And Trish, I think actually if you want to drop an email to the PQD email, which at the moment is Janine, we actually can tell you how to do it. So there is a way you can do it. So I think that's all.
Why is it a secret though?
Because it's not straightforward of being able to submit it through Basecamp. It's actually a form that you complete and submit through to TI International. So it's more to the fact getting the form together and the how to submit it.
I'm glad I asked that question.
So it's not secret squirrels. It's just more, there's, I think, 2, maybe 3 steps to it. So that's all that part is. Rick, I've gone 2 minutes over time. I apologize.
Okay. No, all right. Thank you very much. Really fantastic.